Unless I need it for some reason. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 5th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. My name is Shelley Bueller, and I have the honor of serving as chair of the commission alongside my colleagues, Commissioner Kevin Cook and Commissioner Bob Archer. Good morning, Commissioners. Madam Clerk, the first item, please.
First item today is item 3, consent agenda.
One item on the consent agenda. Are there questions?
I would move for approval.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Cook.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item 4, new business. A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Madam Chair, this morning there is one voucher report dated May 4th, 2016, a total amount of $383,392.64. Significant items include Kansas withholding for $52,000 and our health insurance for $76,000. I've reviewed the vouchers. I have no additional questions and make a motion to approve them as presented.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Archer.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item B, Parks and Recreation number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for the resurfacing and extensive recaulking of 18 tennis courts at the Crossover Tennis Center at Felter Park at an estimated cost of $120,000 with funding from the Parks and Recreation Building Maintenance Fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Rec. Several of our staff have been working close with Topeka Tennis to develop a partnership for these courts. As you can tell from the memo there, we have a lot of sport courts and tennis courts. We got more than the useful life out of this last repairs to these, but we're working with the Topeka Tennis Association, who's going to begin to form a fringe group and help raise funds to keep costs over what I consider to be the best tennis complex in the state of Kansas. 501, all the school districts come out and use those type of things. It's a great partnership or great use of that facility across the entire state. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have. I do know that there's some people here from our foundation and also the Topeka Tennis Association. I don't know if they have any comments or anything. But
Why don't you introduce them?
Huh?
Why don't you introduce them, please?
Okay. We have several. We have back here in the back, Al, Bob Keeshan, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Huh? Diana Christman. They're all here from the Topeka Tennis Association.
Great. Thank you, John. Commissioners, any questions? Or if anybody wants to address the commission, you're more than welcome to come up to the podium. All right. Commissioner Archer.
I was just going to mention that Crossover is a first-class facility, and it's been 12 years since there's been resurfacing, and so I'll make a motion to approve the request to solicit bids.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Archer.
I'll second, noting that it's needed and well warranted with all of the use that it does have.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item B2, consider out-of-state travel for 2 employees to attend the Special Park District Forum in Cleveland, Ohio, and the National Association of County and Recreation Officials Summer Annual Meeting to be held in Long Beach, California, with the County Parks and Recreation Foundation paying for the airfare and lodging costs, and the Parks and Recreation budget paying a total of $1,600 for registration for both conferences.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is, like the clerk just stated, this is out-of-state travel. One of these is to the Special Park District Forum in Cleveland, Ohio. That is a very dynamic group of parks and recreation departments around the country, and a lot of the innovative new things that are in the field happen at this special and are demonstrated at this Special Park District. I'd be happy to answer any questions about either that one or the National Association of County Park and Rec Officials. Their annual meeting this year will be held in Long Beach, California. We'll get would get to travel and tour some of the LA County Parks and Rec facilities and hear how they've developed different partnerships. Some of the unique things in LA County are some of the things we talk about here, about developing partnerships with businesses to run their operation. For instance, they have a big riverfront park in which they have restaurants and those type of things on them, and we've talked about doing some of those same type of things here. So those are both very good associations. Be happy to answer any questions you may have about that.
Thanks, Sean. Are the costs for both conferences being covered by the foundation then? Is that correct?
The way I did this, and it's been successful in the past with the three commissioners, was since you have an out-of-state travel ban, anything that would be above and beyond, if those same educational opportunities were in Wichita, then the general fund pays for it. Since it's out of state, then we have the foundation pay for the airfare, some of those type of things.
And the registration then is paid for?
By the county.
By the county, okay, that's what I was getting to.
And some per diem charges or whatever, those type of things are paid by the county as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, questions?
John, can you talk a little bit about NACPRO and kind of what sorts of things what have we brought back from some of the NACPRO conferences we've gone to in the past?
We have NACPRO, and it stands for the National Association of County Park and Recreational Officials. That association is made up of directors, deputy directors from all county departments across the country. It's surprising when I first went to some of the first meetings there how much more I would have in common as a Shawnee County's Parks and Rec director with the people from Los Angeles County than I even had with Terry Burbles across the town when he was the city Parks and Rec person. This association is closely associated with the National Association of Counties, which has a lot of national influence on legislation for Parks and Rec purposes around the country. But some of the things that we have brought back from there, the original master plan idea came from some of those areas. The different partnerships. Last year, the conference was held in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I think that was the very first city-county merged Parks and Rec department in the country. And I guess it was kind of refreshing to hear my frustrations, that they had the same frustrations and it took them longer to fix them than we were fixing them here. So that made me feel good. But some of the different partnerships that they've come up with has really made our department a lot more dynamic and on the edge. Hope I answered some of your questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Questions or
All
comments?
right, I was going to say, I imagine that other partners that attend the meetings learn as much from us as we do from them.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, Mecklenburg County in North Carolina was one of the first, and I'm sure we have learned a lot from their experiences. So.
I move approval of the request. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
Item C, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to post and fill one vacant custodian position at an annual salary, including benefits of $31,582.42.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. My intent today was to come before you to ask and to post and fill one custodian position vacancy with the Department of Corrections that recently came vacant. But since that time, since me putting in the request to get to you, we had another vacancy with a custodian come up. So I had met with Jim Crowell briefly regarding this request to be able to come before you, and he advised, obviously to come before you to be able to see if we could, I could ask to post 2 vacancies at the Shawnee County Department of Corrections. These are not new positions. These are budgeted positions that are already in our staffing plan. These are vital positions that go to our safety and sanitation. To cover these positions, it costs overtime, and when it comes to any of our accreditations or any of our audits, the sanitation and the safety and the risk management is also one of the first areas that they look at. So this is a very vital, 2 important positions with the department, and we have the money, and I had to speak with Jim Crowell, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Brian. So the request is to fill 2.
2, yes, ma'am.
Questions or comments?
I would move for approval of the request.
It's a motion by Commissioner Cook,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Item D, Health Agency. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-138-2016 with Kansas Children's Service League for outreach, prevention, and early intervention services for at-risk families with young children or those families expecting children, with $360,000 in grant funding for KCSL and $408,000 to the Health Agency.
Good morning, Commissioners. Diane Creek, Health Agency. This is a renewal of a contract between KCSL, Kansas Children's Service League, and the Health Agency that allows us to share grant funding. There's no cost to the county. The grant funding is already in effect, so for next year, so it's just a renewal of the contract between us and KCSL. So
Thank
I'll
you,
answer
Diane.
any questions.
Sure. Questions or a motion?
Move to approve the contract.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D2, consider approval of request for out-of-state travel for an employee to attend a community health conference in Oklahoma City, with costs being paid by a partner entity with the exception of staff time and mileage.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Health Agency. This request is for approval for the county to cover the time and mileage expense for a staff member to attend a conference in Oklahoma City. Our partner that we plan to work with, Grace Med, has offered to pay the registration, hotel, and meal cost for this conference attendance. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Alice. Anyone have any questions?
I would move for approval.
Thank you. There's a motion by Commissioner Cook. I will second. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Item D3, acknowledge binding of medical professional liability insurance for all health agency staff members in a total amount of $34,980.
Commissioners, this is, as it said, is a renewal of the professional liability insurance that is used to cover the staff of the Shawnee County Health Agency. We did see a reduction of just over $3,000 from the previous year, and that was due to some changes in staffing numbers and then how some data was reported. So I'd be glad to answer any other questions.
Thanks, Alice.
Move to approve.
There's a motion by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Anyone opposed, motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item E, County Counselor, number 1, legislative update.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rick Checker, Shawnee County Councilor. As I'm sure you know, 3:30 in the morning on Monday, they wrapped up business, they being the legislature, and left town. They did so not balancing the budget, which is a constitutional requirement, so they're going to rely upon the governor to make all the necessary cuts wherever he can, transportation, and try to balance the budget that way. He is constitutionally required to do that, so we'll be seeing what he's going to do. They have an estimate of what the cuts are going to have to be. The problem is they don't ever know how much money is coming in, and it usually is less than they estimate, so who knows what's going to happen, other than there will be cuts to lots of departments and entities. The bill that the legislature did pay through 12 from the cuts, so they're the only ones who know that they're not getting cut. At the same time, lawsuits with the school districts are proceeding, and that could throw a huge monkey wrench into how the rest of this year finishes out. To local matters, as you know, the juvenile justice bill, which is a rather large bill, well over 100 pages, that one did pass. One thing that we did is we had Ed Klump, a name that you might remember, a former City of Topeka police chief, is now a lobbyist on behalf of law enforcement. And he came and was gracious enough to meet with jail command staff and Brian Cole to go over what the bill means for them. So that meeting did take place. It's a rather voluminous bill, and it's one of those that we're just going to have to work through. So but we are trying to learn as much as we can at the outset. So that's one thing we've done with that one. The other really big bill that passed over the weekend is again, much like last year, a bill concerning property tax and how the Board of Tax Appeals operates. If you remember, they passed a bill last year, and Johnson and County basically immediately sued. They were the lead county on the case. They had a bunch of other counties who joined with them, and they went straight to the Supreme Court, and they won. So this bill is kind of a reaction to that, and I'm not going to promise you that there won't be another lawsuit over it, because again, it does its best to put counties behind the 8 ball. Some of the things that it does is it now restricts counties from appealing if we don't like what the Board of Tax Appeals does. Only the taxpayer can appeal. I think that's rather problematic, but we'll see how that happens. If a taxpayer does appeal to district court, the entire trial that happened at the Board of Tax Appeals doesn't count. And now there's a brand new trial, it's called de novo, in front of the trial court judge. The only winner here would be private tax attorneys, as they will get paid to have a whole nother trial. I don't know how this is advantageous to either the counties or the taxpayers, other than it gives another bite of the apple to a taxpayer. But the only way it would not be cost prohibitive to the taxpayer is if we're talking about the mammoth, large commercial real estate properties. So, yay, another layer of litigation here. And if that wasn't enough, they've added another layer in that if a property value is increased in the taxpayer appeals, at the informal hearing, the appraisers are required to provide their specific info and documents. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if anybody has a problem with that, other than we have to hurry up and get materials out quicker than we normally would. But again, I don't know that that one harms us. The problem is, if we maintain the increase, if we give them the notice of what comes out of that informal hearing, the taxpayer then has 60 days to secure a fee simple appraisal. That's a private appraisal from a private appraiser. They have to provide that to us. We then have to reconsider, and then we have to mail a supplemental notice within 90 days of that time frame and explain our reasons for not relying on that fee appraisal if we don't agree with it. In other words, there's another layer of appeal there before it actually gets to the Board of Tax Appeals. And then here's a wrinkle, and this might be the wrinkle that causes a lawsuit to happen. If you remember right, what happened last year is that if you win your case at the Board of Tax Appeals, the county couldn't increase the value for 2 years. And the Supreme Court basically said, nope, that's unconstitutional. All property has to be appraised fairly and uniformly. That's the constitutional language. And you can certainly see a case where one company appeals, one doesn't, they win, and you can't raise their value for 2 years, while it could be an exploding industry with valuations rising rapidly, and the company that agreed that was a market value for their price could get hit for 2 years, and you have a gross disparity in values simply due to the quirks of the law, not actually due to real estate values. So the Supreme Court struck that down. Trying to come back and get another bite at that apple, the state said that if the taxpayer successfully appeals for 2 years, if the valuation increases by more than 5%, the appraiser has to put the value back to what it was in the year of the successful appeal, or the county, at our expense, has to hire an outside certified independent fee appraisal and then basically live with that. In other words, we don't get to appraise it. So, of course, as you would suspect, the counties are not happy with that, and I think rightfully so. So we'll see what happens. The odd thing is that we still don't have the official version of this bill as of a day ago. Legislative research doesn't have it out. So what I've given you is what we've divined on our own. The actual bill itself, as of yesterday, we couldn't get. So the big one, of course, is the tax lid, and that did pass, and it passed by overwhelming majorities on both sides. And I think that was because the people who wanted a tax lid were obviously in favor of it, and the other side is like, well, we made it better, we made it more livable, and we don't want it held against us in an election year, so we're voting for it. So large majorities voted for this. But our legislators, for the most part, here in Shawnee County, worked very hard on this and helped us, and they were fairly successful in keeping most of those exemptions that we have talked about over time. So the one thing that it does do is it does move the date up from 2018 to 2017. We've moved to a 5-year rolling average now on the urban price index. And the good thing is that if it dips negative, that will not affect us. It'll stay at 0 for us no matter what that average actually does. So other than that, it's basically the same as what I've been telling you. So I'm not going to go through all the exemptions again. But if you remember right, that initial bill stripped most of the exemptions, and KAC and the league, as well as our friends in the legislature, were helpful in maintaining most of those exemptions. So I don't want to tell you it's livable, but it's more livable than what started in January. And then while we're on the subject of local control, or the legislature's hatred of such, they reacted to a series of events that Lawrence either implemented, the city of Lawrence, or the city of Lawrence was thinking about implementing, and they stripped cities and counties of some things. I will go through them because they're interesting. If there's any type of price control that you can sell property, which I don't even know that the city of Lawrence was thinking about doing that, you no longer can do that. You can't impair the right of a property owner from entering into a voluntary agreement, which that's actually constitutional. You can't impair contracts. So I don't know what that one was, but there was some fear that the city of Lawrence would use the issuance of permits to affect selling price. In other words, you don't get a building permit or you don't get an occupancy permit unless we like what you're selling the property for. So again, nothing that would affect us. One that almost could have, until at the last minute they put an amendment in there, was on labor work schedules. They don't want municipalities telling industries when they could work. And you think to yourself, well, that's pretty fair. Why would we do that? Until you remember that we, ourselves, Shawnee County, regulate what time trash companies can pick up trash. And over the years, I've had several phone calls. This is a real issue of residential trash pickups starting at 3 and 4 in the morning. And there's nothing that makes people hotter than being woken up by a garbage truck. So initially, it looked like that we were going to have to repeal that. And then at the last second, they added in an exemption for counties. So it still applies to cities. Then again, think that the city of Lawrence owns their own trash company. But it's not going to apply to counties that way. So good for us. We can still go after trash companies that start picking up trash in 4 in the morning. So another thing they did is that they don't want local municipalities regulating nutrition labels. So I will admit that I frequent McDonald's from time to time, rarely, once a day. And if you look at their menu, you'll see that they put the calories on there. But that's not the same with other fast food restaurants. It's up to them whether or not they do that. And what the legislature wanted to do is reserve that power to themselves. And so they passed a law that basically said, municipalities, we don't want you in that business. We're going to take care of that if we do, which they currently don't. So if you had thoughts of licensing food nutrition or restricting food service operations or even locations where food is grown, which I don't think we could anyway due to the agricultural exemption in zoning law, the legislature has now reserved all that power to themselves. Another thing they did, and we had to read this closely because, of course, as you know, we're looking at building codes. Cities or counties are now prohibited from establishing or enforcing a residential property licensing policy. And this was something the city of Lawrence was moving towards. They have a worry that landlords don't keep up the property inside the city limits, and the city of Lawrence wanted the ability to go in and inspect those residences without getting a search warrant. And this knocked down that scheme. But it didn't affect building codes in any way, shape, or form. So other than that, I think that's all I'll talk about today. I don't know that we're done with legislative updates because everything got done at 3:30 in the morning on Monday morning. And like I said, some of the bills aren't completely out yet. So if something pops up, and I'm almost sure it will, I'll bring it to your attention. But for now, that's all I have.
Rich, just to let you know, at the Kansas County Commissioners Association meeting yesterday, and commissioners as well, that this topic, the tax lid, was discussed all morning. I mean, right off the bat. and how counties are going to, deal with this budget this year, and not waiting until 18's budget to start practicing how it's going to affect things. So Casey did a great job of and I shared the information with Betty, just trying to think of every possible way that we can approach budgets. It's just going to add another layer of difficulty to budgets.
Well, and here's the other thing. As you know, lawyers can disagree over the meaning of one word.
Exactly.
How this is defined, how it's interpreted could be different amongst the counties. It could be different from what the state says that they expect. It could be different what PVD says.
Exactly.
I don't know how much litigation this will spark, but it has the potential to spark some litigation.
Mm-hmm.
And the money that's behind the tax lid is the kind of money that can hire attorneys and file lawsuits against cities and counties. Can you imagine a lawsuit that you lose as a city or county a year after you implemented the budget? I mean, it has pretty far-ranging implications in a negative sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
So I do expect it sooner or later there'll be litigation over this, because some of the language is not the most clear. And how do you interpret even the phrase public safety? Well,
Exactly.
when I say public safety in this room, because we talk about it a fair amount, we all know what we mean. But does public safety include the jail? Does it include the DA? Some of them is obviously, yes, it includes the sheriff. Yes, we can all agree to that. But when you start getting out to the margins of what public safety is, we'll see.
Yeah, that was pretty evident in the discussion yesterday, the definition of public safety.
Right. So,
All right, thank you. Next item, please.
Item 5, administrative communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Shabon, Kansas Expo Center. Just want to say we invite you down to our Great Plains Cluster Dog Show beginning today through Sunday. It's going to be in Landon Arena, Exhibition Hall, and Ag Hall. Thousands of dogs from all over the country. So be a great event.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jamie Kidd with the Shawnee County Extension Office, and we are having a plant sale during the dog show. So, we have a plant sale coming up on Saturday in the parking lot of the Extension Office from 9 till noon. We should talk. And we're beside that. We brought you some of the flowers that we're growing from that. I always have tomatoes for you here. I'll give you each a tomato as well. It's a really neat thing we are doing that also. We have a butterfly weed there, a milkweed for butterfly monarch production. So we're also selling a lot of plants to help with the monarch decline and other butterflies and pollinators. We got a lot of those. We also grow a lot of fruits or vegetable plants that we donate to the Topeka Common Ground that goes out to community gardens. We also have a community gardens networking, hands-on network next Wednesday, or the 11th of May, from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Southern Mennonite Church on 37th Street. It's behind there, Southern Hills Mennonite. And so we help people learn that. And then that Thursday night at the library, we'll have a community garden seminar at 7 o'clock on our regular Master Gardener night at the library. So we've got a lot of good things coming up. We've got some great pieces of information. Anything I've forgotten to there are flyers out there if you'd like to take them back to your offices and help people know. This is our main fundraiser. The funds for this go toward our education classes and programs that we do for the public, and that we're self-funded because of that. So it's a really great program, and we have grown from 60 Master Gardeners when I started to 180 Master Gardeners now.
Wow.
So we have a really good program going on.
That's great.
Questions?
No questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is just a reminder, it is the first Saturday, and we too will be competing with the dog show. We have our household hazardous waste event from 9 to noon at our household hazardous waste facility at 131 Northwest 46th Street. And just to make sure it's clear, that dog waste is not considered household hazardous waste. So if Jeff would relay that to his participants, my staff would greatly appreciate it. Then also I wanted to present the results from our electronic recycling event last Saturday. I didn't think we'd be able to surpass the first event, because that one was just tremendous. Well, we surpassed that one actually by quite a bit. We had 747 participants, which is almost 100 more than we had the first time. And that's about a little over 3 cars per minute went through the event for the entire time on average. We collected 75,000 pounds of electronic waste, which is nearly 100 pounds, just over 100 pounds per car on average. So I do want to point out Monique Laudet of the city of Topeka and Joan Graves, who did an absolutely tremendous job in organizing that event and getting it advertised, and thanks to Ally Van Dyke at the city, and also Eddie Spencer of our Household Hazardous Waste Facility. That was just a really tremendous event. So while I thought maybe the first one might have been really good just because it was the first one, there's apparently a lot more stuff out there. So we will definitely continue these events. They seem to be a lot of need out there.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. It's May the 5th. One more reminder. May 10th, second half tax payments are due. It's coming up very, very fast next Tuesday. So you have about 4 more work days to get that done.
All right. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Is there any reason why, Larry, why were you looking at me when you were making it? I'll get it in. By the way, this is much healthier, Rich, than that quarter pounder with cheese you gave me.
You're the only other one in the room who knew McDonald's had the nutritional license.
Commissioners, I know you guys may very well may be used to this, but some other people in the room may not be. As I kind of danced around a couple of your questions earlier regarding NACPRO and some of those type of things, one thing that I did want to keep secret as long as we could is, I think I mentioned it in the memo, but this NACPRO, this association has, in fact, before I get started, I'd like to have both John Bell and Olivia come up here with me too, and you don't know where, you don't have to talk. One of the things that we tried to do, and these two staff were important of getting this through, each year as part of that NACPRO conference is a national award ceremony where they pick different recipients for these national awards. A lot of the program and facility type awards are broken down by the size of the county, so that a place like Shawnee County that's under 500,000 doesn't have to compete with Tampa, Fort Lauderdale type areas. But one of the areas that they don't have the criterion by size, so everybody has to compete against themselves, is the Outstanding Volunteer Award. We have an individual that these two people, when I said, do we have any awards, this was the first name that popped to their mind. They started working on this right away. This volunteer had been wanting to come down to the county commission and make presentation for a couple of weeks now. So we told him he could come down here and talk. He doesn't know what all we're doing here today. But what I would like to real quickly read to you, and I'm really happy too that both Ray Schroeder and Bob's wife Cheryl are both here as well too. And maybe Cheryl could come up here with us and come on up here with us. What we did was, the recipient of the Outstanding Volunteer Award is Bob Sodoff. The National Association, they picked him. They said that there was a lot of good volunteer submissions, but his stood head and shoulders above the others. And real quickly, Mike will begin to pass out some of the press release stuff so that the media can have those type of things. I'd kind of like to just quickly read the nomination that the staff here submitted. Bob Sodoff has worked tirelessly for years for Shawnee County Parks and Recreation to make this area a horticulture destination. His vision has led to efforts gaining featured gardens and national distinction. Well studied and with abundant energy, Bob Sodoff has played a key role in the development of water gardens, regular annual and perennial plantings, and gardens focusing on specific varieties of plants. He turned his attention to the Ward Mead, he has worked with the highly regarded and frequently visited Ted Inslee Gardens and has more recently turned his attention to the Ward Mead Botanical Gardens, which is a 2.5-acre true botanical garden nestled next to Old Prairie Town, which is an 1800s village featuring the Ward Mead Mansion, which is also on the National Register of Historic Places. The Botanical Garden has seen significant development in the past 5 years, including the installation of water gardens, hosta gardens, daylily gardens, and herb gardens. Also a monarch butterfly way station, installation of a sound wall to improve to protect visitors from the traffic and noise from the nearby I-70. He's currently working on plans to develop an Asian garden. Bob is a leader in the Friends of Ward Mead. He's a board member and the current president of its garden committee. Actually, the Friends of Ward Mead, he was instrumental in even getting it initiated. Bob's vision led to the 2015 effort to gain Ward Mead's Hosta Garden America Hosta Society distinction as a national hosta display garden. It is only one of 23 gardens in the United States to hold this distinction. One part of the garden features the National Hosta of the Year award-winning hosta. From the mid-1990s to the present, Bob Sodoff personally secured and paid for each of the award-winning hosta plants. In 2016, he is working to help Ward Mead Daylily Garden gain national distinction as well. It will be the only public daylily garden in the United States. Finally, as Bob Sodoff is an ambassador, bringing new volunteers, planning outside excursions for them to visit other horticulture events and venues. And with that, I'd like to see if Bob or Ray or John would have anything to say. Come on up, Bob.
Gosh, I don't know what to say. I saw my wife leave home on my phone this morning. I wondered where she was going. I track her pretty close. This is extremely good honor. I do work hard. It's something, Ray and I talk a lot. I mean, my bass boat's sitting in the garage. I haven't used it since last June. I can't go turkey hunting. I mean, we truly love garden and in all gardens, and we promote gardens all over. What we've done in the Hosta and the Daylily area, others are copying that, which is what we're is to promote these kind of things. So I love working with volunteers. I've done it through different organizations, but this gardening is the most addictive thing I've ever done. I don't understand it, but I work 8 hours at Ward Mead, and I go home and work into the dark at home, which is a great thing. And this year, they always say a garden is never as good as it will be next year. Well, this is next year, and it's the best this year ever. And I hope you can all come out. I know Commissioner Cook was at our Hosta dedication, and we're going to do the Daylily dedication in June, so I hope you can all come out. It's going to be beautiful. Our volunteers are truly committed, as well as me, and we, the last 3 days working on the Asian garden, we just started Monday. We've logged 80 volunteer hours in 3 days, and so that's pretty good. We're going to leave here and go back to it. We've put in a pond, and this is going to be a real highlight of the garden. We have a lot of beautiful gardens in the Topeka area. One of the things we struggle with is awareness. People are still not aware that Lake Shawnee has a beautiful garden, that Ward Mead has a beautiful garden, and we're working with that with our new organization for promotion, and hope to push that with our herb classes and all the classes we're going to run out there at Ward Mead. So I don't know what to say. Thank you all. This is overwhelming honor.
Well, Bob, it's a well-deserved honor. Congratulations.
Commissioners, I really have nothing more to add to that. This is a pretty prestigious honor. I will be visiting with Bob and his wife to see if there's any way possible for them to accompany me to Long Beach, California to help pick up that award. It's a tremendous honor for Topeka and Shawnee County to have people like this, and I feel a little bit bad that I made him work up a speech that he didn't get to give today. So, but anyway, I'm sure before he's done.
Thank you, John. Well done. Anyone else? Any administrative communications?
Good morning, Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. I appreciate Rich bringing up the matter of, in the legislative updates regarding, because we've been working very closely with his office regarding the impact of what this Senate Bill 367 will have for Shawnee County. I think that there's a lot of uncertainties and a lot of rumor and a lot of energy going around. Really, is this going to, close the youth center? Is this going to? How's this going to impact? And we are jumping in. Rich is exactly right. This is about 150 or 170 page bill or document, and we have gone through that. We have met with Ed Klump and officials with the Kansas Department of Corrections, Angela McCarty, Deputy Director of the Department of Corrections, and we're going to be holding a meeting with stakeholders here soon in Shawnee County to start the collaboration with our partners and how this really is going to affect, which it means, court services, intensive supervised probation, law enforcement, and those officials there. It will impact our agency, and I will have Angela come back before you here soon to talk, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as what people are worried about. So that we hate to say it, I can't compete with dog shows and other things, but yes, the youth center still will be open for business, and but I will provide that update soon.
Okay, great, thank you. Anyone else for administrative communications? Commissioners?
Commissioners, I might just note my disappointment that not a single person, John Knight included, used the phrase "going to the dogs" during their
So you
presentation.
had to.
So I had to. I couldn't leave it unturned. Bob Schlothofer really is a true treasure of Topeka, and I'm so thankful that he is our volunteer for the ward need and all that he does, and his recognition today is well deserved. Commissioners, I had the opportunity yesterday to meet with the senior leadership of Home Depot. They were in Topeka for a presentation of an award. For the fourth year in a row, the Topeka Rapid Deployment Center has won an award in recognition of their work. And really, we have great employees, valued employees, but it was also an opportunity to meet with the senior leadership, myself, the Deputy Mayor Della Isola, to hear their concerns and what the needs of the employers are in Topeka, and how we might, as the Joint Economic Development Organization, help meet those needs. And I look forward to a meeting on Wednesday of next week for the Joint Economic Development Organization. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Archer.
I do too. And on Tuesday morning, the commissioners got to take a sneak tour of the Evel Knievel Museum, and I think we were all excited, but especially Commissioner Cook. He just had a sparkle in his eye the whole time we were there. And then on Tuesday afternoon, we got to attend the groundbreaking for the new Federal Home Loan Bank building, and that was a great opportunity. And these are just more instances of where we've got progress and success in our community, and I was really happy about the ability to attend those. That's all.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, it seems like we're having more of those events every week, so that is positive for this community. And appreciation to the Federal Home Loan Bank, again, for keeping their headquarters in this community in Topeka. That's, we might take that for granted, but we should not. So we appreciate them staying here, and we do have a JADO meeting next Wednesday, the 11th at 6 o'clock. It's a packed agenda, so we'll look forward to that. So, thank you.
Item 6, executive session.
Is there a need for an executive session? We are adjourned. Thank you.